most likely have price pull back inside here, then you can exit here, or you could even go higher. Okay, but to make sense, you exit here. Okay, if you're trading from the minutes time frame or even the hourly time frame. Okay, so we can. Hey guys, at my FX right here, the prophetic analyst. Welcome back to my channel. So we know we normally predict 500 to 1,000 pips into the future, so which we are going to do once again this week. And without further ado, let's dive into the business of the day. So we are actually starting up with Xauusd for last week. Okay, Xauusd for last week, I think we had price somewhere around here, and we were looking for price to come back to these zones. Okay, just like you guys could see on the before, and give us a bullish continuation to the upside, which price gave us a very massive bullish continuations all the way to the upsides, even breaking through our 100% retracement level all the way to that TP2 right about there of that next zone of Xauusd. Okay, so moving forward for this week, let's see how the weekly time frame actually closed. So actually last week was a little bit tricky though. Okay, regardless, we still find our way around it. Our precisions were still very much right. So looking at how price closed here on the weekly time frame, we had price close with this massive bullish engulfing candle right about there. So let's go back to our hourly time frame to see the base zones in which we could take our trades from. Sorry guys, my chart is a little bit messy. Okay, but I like to keep them that way so I could use them for reference purposes. So here on the 4-hour time frames, we have some zones in which we have already marked out. Okay, so price, this is where price closed. So I'm going to mark out some zones like so. All right, I'm going to mark out these zones like so, that range right about there. Okay, so what I'm most likely be looking for is price coming back into more like a sell to buy scenario, guys. A sell to buy scenarios for Xauusd. So I'll feel more comfortable to take the bullish continuations on Xauusd if price comes back to these zones. All right, looking left, we can see is an area of resistance being turned support. Okay, so price has been reacting off these zones over and over again. So to have the best entries, it will only make sense for you to wait for price to come into these areas and continue all the way to the upsides. Then you can take your buys or your sells, or we could even have a deeper retracement, but I don't really see that deeper retracement happening. Okay, a deeper retracement back to the levels of the 3,339 ounce. Okay, to the upside. So we are still very much bullish on Xauusd until price shows us something different. And looking at the China US tariff issues, okay, Trump and China, they are still going back and forth, even when we thought they had had an agreement, but the two parties are still going back and forth on the deals. And this is also the reasons why price had to skyrocket last week all the way to the upside. Okay, so that's it for Xauusd. Up next is Eurusd. So I'll start from the bullish side, since price is still bullish. Break retest and a push continuations to our next level, which was our initial TP2, which is the 1.1571 area. Okay, and if welcome back. So you can see Eurusd last week we wanted price to give us a break retest, push continuations to our next level, which was the 1.15716 area, which is right about the zones, and price clearly did that. So if you took your entry time frames from the minutes time frame, you most likely have a nice break, a retest here, and a continuation to that first level, which you would have had a very nice trade. And I think we had a very nice let's see up to how many pips. All right, let's check how many, over 250 pips of bullishness just last week on Eurusd. Okay, so this is why we say we predict from 500 to 1,000 pips into the future, and we trade from zones to zone. So if we were able to take any trades even from inside here or even outside here, you would have been able to make money for yourself using our projection trade calls. Okay, so moving forward for this week, Let's look at how the weekly time frame actually closed, so we could use this to make the best decision. So we can see the weekly time frame is currently closed with this massive bullish engulfing candle, and right now is seated on this resistance previous week. Okay, and looking left, there's also a resistance right about there in which price is also reacting from. So let's go back to our 4-hour time frame to look for the best level target in which we can take trade calls. Okay, so this was actually so we already had some zones. Price already played out right about Friday noon, in which I also send the signals or projections to the general community, which I'm going to add it somewhere around here. So price just came into this zone. Okay, I gave them 2 zones in which we are anticipating price to come in and continue, or price to come in here and continue to the upside. So most likely I'll still let this be. Okay, so if you were not able to take those trades on the free Telegram community, you still have an opportunity. Okay, so what we will be doing is we have the upper zones here and we have the lower zones. Let me take this one out because it has played out already. So you can wait for a lower time frame break, retest, and a push continuations to this first 100% retracement level, which is a 1.163 area. Then you can go as high as the 1.1713 area to the upside. Okay, and if price wishes to continue bearish all the way to the downside, then we should be also expecting another reaction right about the zone of the 1.145 area. Then we continue to the upsides. Mind you, we are still very much bullish. Okay, we can also see we have a trend line all the way from the downsides pushing price to the upsides, and price has been creating series of higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. So we'll most likely see a new higher low which has been created, or a deeper higher low created, then a continuations to the upsides for the bullish continuations for USD. So that's it. We are still very much bullish. I'm not giving any bearish sentiment to this until price breaks some certain zones in which we can also take this to our advantage. So that's it for USD. Up next is GDP USD. Back. So GDP USD, for GDP USD last week, GDP USD, we wanted price to break, okay, to break retest and continue to the upsides, but meanwhile we were able to take advantage of the pullbacks into these areas and the continuations to the upsides, which we were able to use this to send some nice trade signals, which we had a very nice 1:2 right about there, just like you can see, and signals are also being sent on our community. But meanwhile, from the look of things, we are actually seeing that GDP USD is still on a range. Okay, unfortunately GDP USD is still on a range. Regardless, Euro USD has been on a nice bullish trend. Okay, though GDP USD for last week it moved this much, okay, because I know price was somewhere around here, on Friday or the weekend. So price just gave this pullback and this little bullishness. So when I saw this other little pullback here, that's when I had to send out that bullish trade calls, in which we're able to make cool money from that trade call from there. And let's see how the weekly time frame actually closed. Okay, looking left, right, so we are seeing prices approaching the 1.3776 zones, okay, to the upside. So let's go back to our 4-hour time frame so we could see the best level target which we can. So nothing much, I'll still leave it as it stands, nothing much from what we did last week. Okay, so you still keep it at the bullish and the bearish scenarios of things. Okay, so since you are very much bullish, okay, we'll be looking for price may most likely be reacting off this other block right about here and a push continuations to the upsides, or we could be seeing price, if you can't take bullish continuations from here, it can also be a little bit patient for a break retest and a continuations, a pull back continuations to the upsides, so the 1.37629 to the upsides. And if that does not play out, then you can go for the bearishness, which I don't really see that happening. price to break here with test and a push continuations to the downside. So what we're actually using right here is our range strategy, guys. Okay, this is part of what we teach on our mentorship. You can see even within this range, okay, we were able to take some nice trade calls, which we did 2 weeks ago and even last week. Okay, so there is a strategy in which we call a ranging strategy, which we also use to our trading advantage to make a lot of money from the market. Okay, so that's it for GBPUSD. Up next is the DXY. Okay, so for the DXY for last week, price was price closed somewhere around here. So between Monday and Wednesday, price has been ranging. Okay, that's why we also saw some range like the GDP pay, in which we had price has been ranging regardless to the sides. Okay, then before after CPI, we were able to see this massive drop. So that's why I was conservative last week. I did not take a lot of trades because I was looking forward for CPI to come out, to be released, then we could know the actual directional bias. Because if you guys look left, you see that price has been ranging since over 2 to 3 weeks now. Okay, so anything could happen between this range. Okay, so I was more like sitting on the fence on those trades until when CPI was being released here. Then I was cool with the directional bias. Then I started sending out some few trade signals. I think we only took 2 trades last week because of this. Okay, so moving forward for this week, okay, we can see there are actually zones here in which price is also reacting from. I sent this out for the people on the general community which were looking for price to come here and push continuations to the downside. So we still keep it at that. Okay, we'll still keep it at that. We still have price, so we had that price react and come all the way halfway for now. Okay, I'm going to add the before and after somewhere around in this video which I sent during last week. So for you can't just jump into this trade right now. It's slightly a little bit late, though it's not much. Okay, so what you can do, we have these lower zones and these upper zones. Okay, so what you can do between, let me take this out. All right, so what you can do if you are looking for bearishness, which I'm still very much bearish, you can go to your minutes time frame or your hourly time frame, look for a break and retest of that zone. Okay, and still targeting 100% retracement level, which is the 97.153. then you can go as deep as the 96.519. okay, so this kind of trades, these are trades that will give us a lot of money from next week, and you have to look into this as much as possible. So for the bullish side, if price wishes to pull back, which I don't really see that happening, okay, regardless, if price breaks, creates a new higher than this previous high, then you should not expect price to go more than this area, okay, to pass this area of the 98 ounce, okay, right about there. So we could even have price go there, then we have a bearish continuation to the downside. So that's a bullish and bearish scenarios for the DXY. Up next is USDCHF. So for USDCHF for last week, okay, we were looking for a bullish and bearish scenarios of things, and the bearish scenarios actually played out, and we saw price give us all these nice bearish scenarios to the downside. Like I said, since the DXY was ranging since Monday, so price has been ranging till Wednesday, which the NFP CPI was being released. Okay, so another good thing is we are now having volatilities back into the forex market, just like before, because for the longest of time, for some months now, we have not been having some volatilities on the forex market. Okay, we even during NFP or CPIs, which is most of the high impact news, but now we can see more volatilities in the market, so we should be most likely using this to our trading advantage, guys. Okay, so for this week, I'm going to give you guys some two-way scenarios. So I'm going to mark an upper zone and a lower zone for you guys. Okay, so though this is what I did last week, so we could look for price already has given us this break and a pull continuations to the downsides. Okay, so but I would still, since price is yet to play out from this downside, you can wait for price, because there's something looking like a head and shoulder in this area, though this is the neckline and price is yet to break it. But since we are very much bearish, we could see price alter this area retest then a continuation to the 100% retracement level, which is a 0.88050 to the downside. Okay, and if price determines to goes bullish, okay, we could wait for price to create a new higher high, break here, retest, and we should be targeting those 0.822 area to the upside. So that's the bullish and bearish scenarios for USDCHF. You could have price continuing back to 100% retracement level, which is these zones like so. Okay, maybe a little retracement to the downside. Last but not the least, USDCAD. Okay, so for USDCAD for last week, just like you guys could see, you're looking for price to continue bearish from here. You can still see that arrow right about there. So 100% retracement level, which was the TP1, price made to that area, which is these zones, and price went all the way bearish to the downside. So continuing, we can also see that price is moving, creating series of highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, a lower low. So when this happens, we should most likely see price create a new lower high, then a new lower low. Okay, so what does this mean? I'm going to mark a zone here using my tool right about there, and you can also see this trend line coming all the way to the downside. Okay, I'm going to actually do a video about trend line strategy, which you can use to your advantage. This may not look like the right way to plot these trend lines, but if I use the line tool, you see how the trend lines should be properly plotted. Okay, this is how this trend line should look like. But if I bring it back to the candlesticks, this is what it will look like. Okay, so that's actually the best way to plot trend lines, but that's not the topic of today. I'm going to make an in-depth video about that on trend lines. So moving on, since we are still very much bearish on the USDCAD pace, so I will look for a pullback, okay, and price continuations to the downside. So let's look left if we can see any support. Okay, so this is the next support that we can see is a 1.34419 area. Okay, our price to just continue from that certain area, then head all the way to the downside. Okay, so for the bearishness, and we could have price pull back. Okay, we could have price break here, pull back, and come back to these zones, but it's going to be a meantime pullback, guys. Okay, meantime pullback. We are still very much bearish until price shows us otherwise on this space. Okay, so that will be it for this week, guys. And if you are still watching this video to this very moment, please do well to smash that subscribe button, like, share, and drop a comment on the comment section. Drop some fire emojis if you like what you are doing and you appreciate what you are doing, and also do well to share our content on your social media platforms, and join our free Telegram community if you want to get free signals or get our one-on-one live sessions, in which we also host once or twice in a week. You can also benefit from that, and our mentorship registration for the June-July batch is currently ongoing. So if you're interested to also learn from the prophetic analyst and be able to predict 500 to 1,000 pips into the future, just like I do here, you can see like what we are predicting here is almost 200 pips drop on USDCAD all the way to the downside. So this is also the way in which you can use to elevate your trading. Okay, so see you guys in the inner circles. Always remember to plan your trades and trade your plan. Cheers.